Now that we have the pleasantries out of the way, it's time to dive into what everyone's been waiting for. Deontay Wilder. Pause. He might like that based on the things he's been saying. But what we're gonna talk about Deontay Wilder. And the first topic is, how does the announcement of Joshua versus Fury being a done deal make you feel about Deontay Wilder? Eddie Hearn has recently said that it's a done deal for Joshua Tyson Fury heavyweight title fight. So he's saying that it's a done deal. The only thing that's left is to negotiate the venue, negotiations between the networks. He's saying the money situation is done. It's basically going to happen. And so basically, Trill Dollar Bill, what I want to know is, how does the announcement of Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury being a done deal make you feel about Deontay Wilder?
Poor Wilder. Poor Wilder. It's listen, this is bad, right? Because look, he could get forgotten. He can get forgotten. He can get forgotten because this is how I look at it. Because you have the Usyk situation, right? And then with it's you don't even know how the WBC is doing it. I don't know. Wilder could be if the heavyweight division haven't showed you anything, it's showing you that it's very unpredictable, right? And it's showing you that this thing is a soap opera. I wouldn't be shocked if Deontay Wilder messed around and missed his opportunity. Like, say, for example, he can get a shot with one of these guys again, but say if AJ and Fury get it on. Now you got that winner. Then they got to deal with the situation with Usyk over here and how they deal with that mandatory situation and how they negotiated that, right? We don't know if Usyk's going to go first, and we don't know if the WBC is going to do a trick where they say, hey, put Dillian in there, or the winner of Povetkin and Dillian get in there with Wilder, and then we'll see who's the next mandatory for that. And then something can happen over there. They might throw somebody else in. You don't know. I just felt like Wilder messed up. Wilder, this could be a way where you messed up, because there's a slim chance. There's a slim chance that maybe you can get a winner. You can get the winner. But when? And who do you have to face the while this is going on? Because I don't want you to get something happen, you get derailed, or you have a bad night against somebody like a Dillian White did, overlooking a Povetkin. You go in there with it while these two guys is getting in there, and then you overlooking this a Charles Martin or something. You know what I'm saying? You get in there with a Charles Martin, and Charles Martin has the most wonderful 12 rounds of his life. You know what I'm saying? And now you just lost to Charles Martin, and now you're in the back. So this is really, really, it's crazy, man. Poor Wilder. If I was Wilder, though, he should be using this all as fuel, tackling fuel. Bobby Boucher. He should be using this as tackling fuel, you know what I'm saying, to make a tremendous comeback. Because this is one thing, like, when somebody is losing, right? I mean, when somebody's winning, they can't wait for them to lose, right? So when they lose and, they get all the, the backlash of them losing, right? We love to see the build-up, So maybe Wilder is using this as tackling fuel, and he can use this to fuel himself for the get back. But for right now, it's looking like poor Wilder to me.
All right. I'm going to throw Ned the TBE in there. Let's go, Ned. How does this make you feel about Wilder?
Hey man, feels like the sun is setting on this man Deontay Wilder, man. And with Undisputed coming up and everything that comes with it, it's gonna take some time before he's even brought up in the mix. And he has to be careful. Like, he can't sit here and not fight, be inactive, or fight tomato cans again, because nobody's interested in that. He has to take on somebody in the top 5, top 10 in the heavyweight division and actually have convincing wins against them, or else, it's not, nobody's gonna want to see him fight AJ or Fury at this point. I think in like 3 years from now, because that's what I really think it's gonna take for him to really, because I think we're gonna have a trilogy with this Undisputed match, unless it's very, very convincing that AJ or Fury pulls off the win in the first 2 fights. In the first one, if it's KO and then they get a rematch clause, I don't think we'll see a trilogy. But then you got Usyk in there, you got Dillian, you got Povetkin, you got a lot of fighters wanting another shot at this title, and you got Ruiz out there still who wants a shot. So I don't know. Wilder really has to make his next moves his best moves, or it's over for him. Like I don't see him really like bouncing back from this type of with these type of antics also looming in the air. I don't see him really bouncing back from this type of from the shenanigans he pulls. So.
All right. Slippery G today. Slippery G. Go ahead.
I disagree with Trill, and I almost agreed with Ned until the end. So this is what I'll say. I actually think this is a great thing for Wilder. Hopefully he got some step aside money. I'm not too sure, but even if he didn't, it's still a good thing because that last loss was a serious one, and to me, he needs time to get his skill up. It's just that old Wilder is not going to be this.
You're agreeing with me so far, G.
I'm where it's not a poor Wilder thing. I think it's a Wilder you're lucky thing because now, kind of like what Ned was just alluding to, but what I think Wilder should do is fight top 10 heavyweights right now. He has a lot of options. And these are the guys that would take that Wilder fight because they want to propel their careers up so they could be like, hey, I just took out, one of the tops in the heavyweight division. I deserve a shot with AJ or Fury or whatever, like the rankings and everything. So Wilder could get these fights, like these other, like Ruiz would want to fight him. You brought up Charles Martin. Martin will want to fight him. I'm pretty sure Joseph Parker now will want to fight him. You know what I mean? Like Eddie Hearn said he literally wants to set up Dillian White versus Deontay Wilder. So Wilder got the Dillian White fight right now. That's a good name. They're both coming off of some serious losses. People will want to see that fight. So as long as he remains amongst the top 10, he's good. He's in great company. So I don't see it as a bad thing for Wilder. I don't think Wilder not getting the Fury trilogy is going to tarnish his legacy, because he still has some great fights. And I'm pretty sure if in fact he does a good little run, he beats Dillian, Parker, or whoever, Ruiz, I think then people are going to be like, yo, you know what? We do still want to see the AJ versus Wilder fight. Or maybe we do want to see the Tyson Fury versus Wilder trilogy. He just has to show growth. Like as long as he shows that, hey, he took that loss humbly. He started picking up some skills. He picked up some new trainers. He's taking the sport now serious. I think this will be a benefit for Deontay Wilder. But now I know people are going to say, well, that's a big if because, this dude only got a straight right hand. That's it. I understand. However, at least allow him a chance to improve, to show the world, hey, you know what? I learned from my loss. So
what if I don't say that? What if I don't say that? What if I say that he's 35, 36 years old and you're talking about him needing time to show growth? How much time do you think he has?
And
he doesn't have a large window. Clearly, we know he has a small window. However, I still think he could actually develop. Like the dude, like.
So at what age do you think he'd be the product you believe he can be?
What you mean?
How old will Deontay Wilder be when he can become the product you're claiming you believe he can become? How old?
I'm not claiming for him to be no spectacular athlete. Like
you said growth. How old will he be when he realizes the growth potential that you think he has?
Depends. So like for example, like Trill brought up Charles Martin, right? Charles Martin is a big dude that moves around a lot, right? He's not Tyson Fury level, but that would be a good test to see how Wilder could do against a guy that moves around who's big. Like he'll need to. I'm not like I look at it as a tune-up, but some people may not, right? But I think if he takes a Charles Martin, that's a tune-up, right? But he might need that right now. But after the Charles Martin, you should be fighting Dillian White. You should be fighting Joseph Parker. Somebody
Dillian White can get past Povetkin in March. That's it. And here's the problem. Now, if depending who wins that fight, now who does that person become mandatory for the WBC? Because they say they're going to honor it. So where does that put Wilder at? Now, is Wilder still going to fight Dillian White, which is not going to matter if Povetkin wins? You know.
All right, now that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna be honest.
Probably would. If Povetkin knocks him out twice, that's right up Wilder's alley. Wilder take that real quick.
But, all right, I'm gonna say this. Like, me personally, I don't really care for the belts, right? Because it prevents big fights. So I think I like what Eddie was saying. Like, get the Dillian versus Wilder fight popping. Like, both guys don't have belts. So what's holding y'all back? Set up that damn fight. You know what I mean? People want to see that. The streets want to see that. If he can't get that fight, fight Andy Ruiz. Y'all are both PBC fighters. You know what I mean? That could get set up right now. These are the type of fights we want to see. This will, if Wilder wins, people go, oh, all right, yo, Wilder's back. You know, set up the fight with whoever. If Fury wins against AJ or AJ wins against Fury, whatever. Whenever that fight is done, like complete. If they do a trilogy or just two pieces, whatever. Once that's done, as long as Wilder's active and still winning and still fighting dudes in the top 10, yo, he can get that shot again. So I think Wilder should look at it from a long-term event, long-term strategy. Now, again, he's like 35, 36. I understand that. However, heavyweights can still fight till like they 40. You know what I mean? Like, Povetkin's like, what, 41, 42? So he has a window. He has a window. AJ said he wants to fight for another, like, what, 5 years, 6 years? You could do a lot in 5 to 6 years.
I mean, he'd be retiring at the age Deontay Wilder is right now.
Okay. But what I'm saying is the AJ and Wilder fight could still happen. The Wilder Fury
All right, G, just let me jump in for a second. This is just for you. I'm not, but I want to point this out to you. One of your biggest arguments against Anthony Joshua in the gym, and Ned's here, and I've even heard Complex make this argument, is that Joshua winning the belt against Charles Martin meant nothing because he was garbage. So now it's interesting to hear you flip on that and say Charles Martin would be a good test for Deontay Wilder right now because he's big.
What I said.
He moves around. So if he would, no, G.
I said tune-up.
Right, Ned, am I lying?
Yeah.
Am I lying, Ned? When I pointed out to G how Bermain-Stavern, how Wilder won the belt for Bermain-Stavern, and how Bermain-Stavern really won a vacant title, wasn't that good, all that stuff. His counter argument was same with Charles Martin. And I'm like, yeah, but Josh was beating other champions besides Charles Martin. But your argument for Charles Martin was that he wasn't any good, won the title because the other fighter got injured, and Joshua became champion by beating that bum, or by beating that guy. So now all of a sudden that Wilder needs an opponent and Charles Martin is a name that's being thrown around, all of a sudden it's a good test. You Wilder guys.
All right. Well, let me respond to that. I just brought up Charles Martin because Trill brought up Charles Martin. But when
that's what they're talking about. Wilder fighting Charles Martin.
Okay.
Trill just pick him up out of thin air. That's who they're talking about.
Hey man.
The eyes is low.
But what I said was, if y'all heard me, I said Charles Martin is a tune-up. I didn't say Charles Martin was like a champion or he's like a thoroughbred. I didn't say that now. I'm just saying, like even what's that dude's name, Helenius or whatever, because he's tall and lanky, but he's flat-footed. So I don't think he would be a good comparison to a Tyson Fury. I'm just saying Wilder might need a tune-up to get back in there with a Tyson Fury. And Charles Martin, to me, he could benefit from that fight. That's all I'm saying. But even that, I'm like, after that, no more like pick-me-ups. Bro, you got to get in there with the killers. Like, he has to get in there with the Dillian Whites, the Andy Ruizes.
And that all depends.
Joseph Parkers. That's what I want to see Wilder in there with. That's why I'm like, it's a good thing that he's out of the conversation about these belts. So then now he has no excuses. He can just set up these fights with these guys. You could get there. He may not be able to get a Usyk fight because Usyk's in line for the belts, but he can get in there with them other guys, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying Charles Martin's like, we don't really acknowledge him as a real champ like that. Same thing with Stavern. I don't acknowledge Stavern like a champ like that. Salute to all my Haitians out there watching bros Haiti. But let's just keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? So
don't have problems with your own country now.
Nah, I'm just saying those two guys might go in history as the shortest reigning champions.
And G, you can't do the compa, so you can't.
Now,
Get him back with dance. You can't.
this is
I know. I've seen you. I've seen you at Haitian night. Let's go.
This is the thing where I was saying where G, I think you're kind of making my point with the poor time. We're looking at Deontay Wilder's age, and we're looking at where he can. This was Deontay Wilder, and like you're saying, like why I was saying why it was poor Wilder. We talk about time. All the stuff is gonna take.
Are you just repeating time, or are you singing that song? You know that.
It's not on his side. No, it ain't. You know what I'm saying? The reason why, because there's still people, new fighters coming in. They're gonna want their shot. We don't know, right? We seen this what happened with the Tyson Fury fight. Wilder got a lot of questions to be in. He has to letting this rematch pass. Mm-hmm. Like you just said, he got to go to a Charles Martin, and then maybe another person, and then maybe another person, and then AJ will be there 5 years. Was this going to be the same Wilder?
Hopefully, it'll be a better Wilder.
How?
Hey, true. We gotta let Complex get in here.
But walk with me. All right, walk with me on this one.
All right, go ahead, Slip.
Like, yo, we got George Joyce. You know what I mean? That Wilder could fight. That people will want to see. They want to see two heavy hitters bang. You know.
But do they want to fight them?
You know, people want to see that fight. That would be a good fight. People want to see heavyweights bang. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, it's good that he separates himself from AJ and Tyson Fury because of the whole belt lockdown. Forget them belts, man. Let's just get to popping fights. That's all I want to see. Big fights.
And a whole different tune when Wilder had Sophia.
Yeah,
like the WBC belt, the only real belt that matters.
Let me tell y'all something.
Belt in the game.
Now listen.
I'm telling you, man. Yo, bias.
I got something. I got a response to that. You ever fella, in love with a shorty, especially back in high school, and shorty played you or something? What they always say, yo, hop on next. Hop on that next bus, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, she wasn't for you. You know what I mean? If the green wasn't for Wilder, it's cool. Hop on next.
Nah, you don't get to do that. Because, see, Wilder was with the green for what, like 10 years? He put it on a pedestal. He
not logical.
Sophia, no one's taking Sophia from me. He said it. He talked it up. And then Fury came and said, come roll with a real player. And she left Wilder. Okay? And so now you don't get to tell me, yeah, you're right, a shorty from high school. High school is 4 years. That means even if on my first day in high school I met a shorty, it would have been freshman year, right? And senior year, it would have been over. It would have had to been over somewhere between 4 years. No, he was with the girl from high school, undergrad, and 2 years of grad school. So this ain't no high school.
Hey, hold on.
No high school compared.
Hold on.
And for the type that got kept back. You know what I mean? So it was just 5 years, bro.
For the official players that might be watching this right now, what G was trying to say is, women are like buses. You might miss one, but there's one to take their place every 15.
I'm not trying to objectify women.
I don't know about
shout out to the boxing sisters.
That's not my view on women at all.
Shout out to the boxing sisters out there.
I
love y'all.
You don't want no problems. You know what I'm saying? Like
that is not me.
That ain't you either. I'm just saying.
He said,
that what we used to say. You know what I'm saying? But
that's what he was saying. That's what they said back in the day.
Older and more mature.
Like busted. If you miss one, there's another one to take his place 15 minutes later promptly. So don't be crying. You know what I'm saying?
This is where I stop talking.
This is where I say the views and opinions of Trill do not reflect the Boxing Bros and all the other faces you see on the screen. Not to say that that's the views and opinions of Trill. I know he's just highlighting the saying. That is a popular saying around the way. All right, it's time to let Complex in there. Complex, I know you've been patiently waiting. I appreciate that. But now it's time for you to unleash the venom. Go ahead.
Boxing's a funny sport. 1 minute on top, you're on top of the world. The next minute, you down. Everybody's talking all this and that, and it's poor Wilder. And hey, it is what it is, right? Wilder lost one fight to the number one heavyweight in the world, and now we're already writing his obituary, his demise, his whatever, all this stuff. Look, Wilder's gonna be okay. That's my feeling. If Joshua Fury goes ahead, fine, keep it moving. Wilder's still at the least the third best heavyweight in the world right now, right? He's number 3. There's a lot of big fights out there for him. he's one of the big names in the sport. At a certain point, you do get a little bit bigger than the belts. Like the belts obviously matter. Everybody wants to be a champion, but the way they give out belts, if Wilder fights, they're probably going to put up some sort of goofy belt anyways, the WBC platinum belt, the diamond belt, whatever. You're gonna, at the end of the fight, they're gonna give you some shiny piece of metal on a piece of leather, right? So it is what it is. Wilder's does a lot of big fights. One, the Fury Joshua fight, let's say it goes on, fine. A lot of the guys mentioned other people's names brought up. There's probably Charles Martin that there's been rumored that he might fight. There's Andy Ruiz. That's a big fight if he fights him. Alexander Usyk would be a big fight. There's all these guys. The winner of Dillian versus Povetkin. These are all big fights. And Wilder's going to get paid. He's going to fight. He's going to continue building his name. And at some point, whatever happens with Fury Joshua, because we know, like Cho said, boxing is so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. They can set up the fight, and then one guy might have to pull out, and then Wilder can step right in. All you have to do is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Wilder's going to be fine. Wilder's going to continue to have big fights. He's going to continue to draw names. And what's more, even after Fury Joshua fight, Wilder's still the biggest name. These guys want to make as much money. You can make a big fight with Wilder, whoever wins, Fury Joshua, right? And if whatever happens between a rematch or not, if that happens, one of those guys is probably going to fight Wilder next anyways, because it's just the next big fight you can make. It's going to be a huge pay-per-view, a big worldwide, especially Wilder comes out, knocks out 2 or 3 fools. Everybody's going to be back on, Wilder, the right hand. Maybe he'll catch him. You know what I mean? So all you got to do is...
Fools. It got to be 3 boxes, bro. It can't be fools no more.
Whatever. People, first off, the general public doesn't even pay attention to the rankings, stuff like that. So it could be and it should be.
That's what complex. It's perception.
It's the perception. He could fight 3 PBC guys because he's in PBC, so he could just stick with PBC, or he can go out and fight these other guys. But let's say Alexander Usyk somehow grabs WBO from that mix. Wilder could probably fight him. There's all types of options. Any of these guys, even if, like, let's say the belts disperse and somebody else grabs it, Wilder's a big fight. Just like there's people who've lost belts before, but they still come back and have big fights because they're a big name. Wilder's built himself up to a big name, so he's going to be okay. I mean, we've seen guys take L's and then they come back and win later on in their career. We've seen this happen in boxing. It's not over. It's not whatever. You know what I mean? So for me, it's much ado about nothing. If it happens, it happens, whatever. Honestly, obviously, Wilder would prefer to get a shot back at his belt. You normally, when a champion loses his belt, he gets a shot back at it. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. He can't force Fury in the ring. They can't do anything about that. So just keep it moving. Wilder's anytime Wilder fights, it's gonna be a big show. We talk about Wilder so much. For Wilder to be, he's not a big name. We talk about him so much. When Wilder steps in the ring next time, it's going to be must-see TV. So he's going to be fine. Let's just watch the fights and see what happens.
So you're saying forget about the belts, worry about the bag.
Well, just keep fighting. Just keep the belts. Obviously, the ideal is to get up to like undisputed or whatever, or get multiple championships. But what I'm saying is that's not the only driver of fights. It's not like if Wilder fights next and there's no belt on line, people aren't going to watch. People are still going to watch. It's going to be whatever. And at the end, like there's so many belts in boxing, there's probably going to be some intercontinental of the world, whatever. You know what I mean? They're going to give you something. So it's not even like it's whatever. You know what I mean? Just fight.
I'm rocking with you, Complex, and I'm hearing you. The reason why I said it's a little bit because Wilder, his whole thing was he was the longest reigning champion at that time, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody
lying on his shorty on his shoulder
dethroned him.
Took her.
You were supposed to get that back.
He was supposed to. That's why there was a rematch clause. But
right.
If they find a way out of that, that's what can Wilder do? That's my thing.
Now, with what I'm saying with Wilder, you don't think that all these other issues. So basically, what you're saying is what I was saying. Like he has to win. Wilder has to keep winning.
Yeah,
right?
don't lose.
But
obviously,
you don't think that this is hard on Wilder. This doesn't bring Wilder back a little bit because he was going up. He was going up. He was fighting Tyson. Like you said, he's number 3. He was heading towards Tyson Fury, then AJ. Now he's got to go backwards.
I don't really see it's backwards. I think he's still in the same spot. He's still number 3, right? It's not really backwards because at the end of the day, the winner of Wilder of Joshua Fury or the loser. Let's say Fury knocks out Joshua. hey, Joshua versus Wilder would still be a blockbuster event if that happens, right? So anything can happen. Oh, he's really in the same spot. He's just paused. He's at a plateau. You know what I mean? And he can just keep winning, keep fighting guys, keep winning. And he probably, honestly, I feel like Wilder's going to knock out some of these other guys in the top 10. Some guys will bring up some issues, but I think he's going to knock them out and he's going to look good. And he just continue to go. The fight, you want to get to the pinnacle of the sport, which is like becoming number one, right? Considered number one. I mean, Fury might pull a whatever. If Fury beats Joshua and convinces he might retire, say, I'm out. And then guess what? The whole scene is open again. So you don't know. You don't know. I'm saying anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Beat Joshua. Fury's going to beat Joshua, right? And turn down all that money in the rematch.
He's done it before. He could have fought Klitschko again, and he turned it down. So that
wasn't Joshua money, dog. That wasn't.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. But
you got Usyk, you got Usyk and all these other players who got their mandatory spots and all this other stuff.
Anything is possible. Like, I mean, the thing is this: what I'm afraid of is if Fury Joshua looks like Fury Klitschko, where it's basically a stinker. Like he beats him and convincingly, but it's like nothing really happened. Because then that kind of kills the buzz for a rematch. So then, you know what I mean? Then they might not even do it again because people will be like, yeah, whatever.
Does it kill the buzz for a rematch? Because with that
maybe
stinker, there was still buzz for a rematch. So I don't necessarily know if there was, true.
But like
and
people,
it still was going to be a rematch.
There was, but he got out of it. People talked about it, but like I don't know. I'm just saying, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. So that for my thing is at the end of the day for Wilder, just stay ready. Keep go. If the Fury Joshua fight is going to happen, you can't get Fury in the ring. Cool. Fight a Charles Martin, whatever. In the next couple of weeks, maybe in February or something. Keep the date. Then Andy Ruiz, that would be a massive fight in America. You know what I mean? That'd be a huge fight. The pay-per-view money. You know what I mean? Then if you get past Andy Ruiz, you're right there, dog. You're right there. Then if Quebec and Dillian White, whatever they want to do, if they're around and they want to fight, dog,
Give me another if. Go ahead. Add another if. Give me another
big fights.
One.
Just have big fights.
Give me another one.
Just have big fights.
Give me another if. Go ahead.
Everybody's worried about Wilder. Yet somehow Wilder's chilling. Wilder's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, living his best life, and we're all worried about him. That's hilarious.
That's the biggest cop out malarkey that I've ever heard.
Living his best life. We see him twerking. You absolutely right.
That's if you're twerking, you think he's sad? Nobody twerks while they're sad. Everybody's happy while they're twerking.
Complex just pulled out his concession card, so it's time for me to go. All right, so check this out. When I heard that, and when Eddie Hearn announced that it's a done deal, my original thought was that Deontay Wilder allowed Tyson Fury to erase him. He allowed Tyson Fury to erase him. He allowed Tyson Fury to outwit him. See, Deontay Wilder turned down that contract, the $120 million contract from DAZN, right? And G's argument was because he can make $100 million in one fight if he does this. The same ifs that Complex is throwing out, right? Add all the ifs you want. You know what I'm saying? You know the saying, if was a fifth, right? Keep if, add another if. And when you're in doubt, add another if. And just for itch and giggles, add another if, right? But I remember Deontay Wilder was in a situation where he could have cashed out and made more money than he's ever made in his entire career. He could have made something that we call generational wealth, and he rejected it. At the time, and we know this, we have the footage, Complex and G applauded this. These two businessmen that I know, who they applauded this, and they said, this is great because he's invested in himself, and he's going to make $100 million in one fight, except Tyson Fury beat him the same way that I, Trill, and Ned was trying to tell these two gentlemen. And what happens if Tyson Fury beats him? Well, we now know the answer. That $100 million fight that Deontay Wilder was invested in just went to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has now erased Deontay.
Can I get a Paul Wilder? Gotta get Paul Wilder.
Oh, that definitely merits a Paul Wilder. True. Let me get a Paul Wilder real quick, please.
Everybody, 1, 2, 3.
Paul
Paul Wilder.
Wilder.
Boo, boo,
So check
boo
it
this
out.
man,
Check it out.
boo.
So check it out. He allowed Tyson Fury to erase him. Look, Deontay Wilder, longest reigning champion in the world. So what did that get you? Longest reigning champion, right? What did that get you? Right? When you lost to Tyson Fury, he inherited everything you had. You were the baddest man on the planet. You were the one-punch king. You were the guy who turned down all this money because you were trying to make $100 million in one fight. And in one night, Tyson Fury took your face off of the fight for Undisputed and put his face in there. And as soon as you thought, because you thought you had a backdoor deal with Tyson Fury, we freezing Joshua out. We freezing Joshua out. We freezing Joshua out. Soon as Fury got the belt from you, he froze your ass out. Left you out in the cold. And now Undisputed is Joshua versus Fury. How do you feel? You got erased and outwitted by Tyson Fury. Damn. You dumber than I thought. All right, so check this out. This talk about, oh, he can do this, he can do that, he can do this. He messed up and burned a lot of bridges along the way. One, there is footage, and Dillian White pulls up the text where he's told Dillian White, I'm going to make you wait 2 years. I can make you wait 2 years. When he was WBC champion and White was saying, yo, do me a solid. Give me this fight. Do me a solid. Give me this fight. Wilder was like, I could make you wait 2 years because I really don't got to do nothing. She's with me. I got the looks, right? Now Dillian White is next in line.
No, he's not.
If he can beat, hold up, bro. Once again, and the tape can reflect this, and everyone on this panel, this is where you need to hold this dude accountable. I did not do this to him. I did not do this to him. Intentionally, because everything he was saying was a lot of ifs, a lot of, imagination. It was beautiful. It gave me a lot of hope. You know,
my bad, dog. Continue on. My bad, dog. Continue on. My dog. I know you're about to go into this whole rant. You about to go into this whole rant.
Hopeful. You guys real hopeful.
I just threw a quick correction in there, but go on. Keep cooking. My bad, yo. I don't want to derail. I don't want to derail this. I don't want to derail.
No. It's okay. It was beautiful. The Wilder fans are inspired. They're hopeful. If it all went your way, he would be making $100 million in the Undisputed fight, but he's not. Anyways, like I said, Dillian White is in a position where he could be mandatory for the WBC. Right now, it's Povetkin, but remember, he didn't have to fight Povetkin. He gave Povetkin that shot. Povetkin beat him. He has a rematch. If Dillian White wins, because remember, the name I kept hearing was Dillian White. Y'all didn't bring up him fighting Povetkin. You brought up him fighting Dillian White. But if Dillian White does beat Povetkin, I think I read something where Dillian White said, I'm going to freeze him out for 2 years. I'm going to make him wait 2 years. Why would Dillian all of a sudden give Wilder the opportunity to erase him the same way that Tyson Fury erased Deontay Wilder? If anything, he should learn from Wilder's mistakes. So you Wilder fans are real delusional, right? When Wilder was in the driver's seat, it was F Dillian. Now that Dillian's in the driver's seat, although he has to beat Povetkin, he's still in the driver's seat more than Wilder because at least he has a chance to be mandatory. Wilder is going to have to fight his way back to the front. So Dillian White, now that he's in the driver's seat, you think Dillian White's going to be like, yeah, I'm mandatory. I'm going to give you a chance to get Sophia back. That ain't happening. Dillian White's like, I'm next in line. See ya. Then I heard you bring up Usyk. Usyk, we still don't even know if Usyk's going to step aside so that this undisputed fight can happen. That's our next topic. Usyk wants his shot, and it seems like Usyk wants his shot or he wants some bread. So to act like Usyk's going to say, you know what, Wilder? Yeah, I'm going to give you a chance to leapfrog me too so you can be mandatory for the WBO. Y'all got a lot of fantasies, bro. A lot of fantasies.
Well, don't say y'all. I didn't bring up Usyk. I'm just saying.
I'm saying y'all for Wilder fanatics who believe this stuff. I'm not singling out Conspiracy G. I'm just saying the wild. I've been hearing all this talk about the Wild fans. So you think Usyk barely wants to step aside? Keep in mind, Undisputed might take place without Deontay Wilder. So if Undisputed happens without Deontay Wilder, here's what you got. you got Fury, Joshua, and you have a rematch. There must be a rematch, regardless of who wins, regardless of how it looks. So then, the wishful thinking that I hear is, well, maybe it's a stinker, and then nobody wants to see that rematch. Stop it. It doesn't matter. It could be the biggest stinker in the world. If Joshua wins, Fury fans want that rematch. If Fury wins, Joshua fans want that rematch. Yo, I've seen stinkers before, right? Even Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. People still want that rematch. Are you kidding me? It doesn't matter. It's going to be a rematch. So here's what you have. You have Dillian White and Povetkin, WBC mandatory. You got WBO mandatory, Alexander Usyk. Neither one of them are giving Deontay Wilder a chance to cut in and take their mandatory status. And you have an undisputed fight that's going to take place. That's going to be at least a 2-fight series. When is Deontay Wilder going to step in and get his shot at the title? Unless the titles break up and Usyk gets the WBO and then Usyk's looking for someone and then he can work out. But that's the only way, is if they break up the titles, that Wilder's going to get a title shot. But this talk about other people giving him a chance to step in front, like, come on, man. And then the notion that Wilder can somehow show growth in the ring at the age of 36, and by the time he's 38, be a better fighter than he was at 36. Like, yo, come on, man. Yo, the Wilder fans are on one. Y'all are on one. I don't know what you took. But you're definitely on one. Okay, and lastly, I just have to smash this idea. I heard this quote: Wilder is must-see TV. Wilder is must-see TV until he's on TV, and then his pay-per-view numbers are straight garbage. Straight garbage. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, the rematch, had the most heavy promotion I've ever seen for a boxing match in a long time. Super Bowls, ESPN. You had 2 networks involved that were well invested in this fight doing numbers. And the fight did 800,000 pay-per-view buys, and they still took a loss because of how much they invested in that fight. So for all this talk about Wilder, he hasn't generated any money. Yeah, his knockouts go viral on YouTube, but guess what? Here on the Boxing Bros, we got a video right now that qualifies as going viral. So, like, I don't want to hear that this dude is must-see TV because people don't tune in. So again, all this talk about Wilder doesn't negate the fact that when you look at it, he made the wrong move. He didn't take the money when he should have cashed out. It doesn't negate the fact that now he's in a position where he has to fight for pennies when he could have had 2 fights. He could have had 2 fights that would have set him for the rest of his life. That's it.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe, and check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast.
I thought I saw the Ned finger from Complex.
Ned finger go up from your Complex.
Crooked finger Ned Complex response.
Oh no, I just was like,
Yeah.
nah.
He was. That was his thing. Letting y'all know. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter, and check out our podcast on all streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.